guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have 10 fashion hacks that are just going to make getting dressed every single morning so much easier. They're just gonna help to elevate your style in ways that are super easy and don't add a lot of effort to your morning routine. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Tip number one is making an album in your phone dedicated to outfits that you've loved, that you've already put together. So if any of you have ever posted like an outfit of the day look, or you've just like taken a picture of yourself in the mirror right before you leave the house because you love the outfit that you've put together, take screenshots of all of those or move all of those photos into a dedicated album that is completely and solely outfits that you've made before, that you felt amazing in, or that you loved wearing. Because having those outfits as inspiration on days that you just feel like either you have nothing to wear or nothing's just really feeling the way that you want it to and you're getting a little frustrated, or you have a timeline and you've got to leave the house, being able to go back and reference outfits that you felt great in is just going to save so much time. This is actually something that I've been doing for such a long time, and let me tell you, it has saved me time and time again, so I highly recommend. Also, it's just nice to go back into a dedicated album and be like, I looked really good on this day, or I felt really good on this day, and just to be able to like have something to go back to, especially with social media and like constant comparison. It's nice to have basically an album dedicated to just the times that you felt good, because sometimes we just need a little pick-me-up, and it's a great thing to reference on those days too. Tip number two actually happens the night before, and it's setting out your outfit for the next day. So that's hanging out dress or shirt or pants, whatever it is, down to the undergarments, because undergarments make such a huge difference and can help just get you to start off the day in a good way. Like, you want to feel good from your underlayers to your outer layers. So if you know what I mean by that, just having everything set and ready to go is just going to help you saving time in the morning. But sometimes you wake up and you're just not in the most creative mood. If you want to make it a little bit of like a routine or a regimen, and even like pouring yourself either a glass of wine, or if you have a cup of coffee or tea, having some nice music in the background, turning the lights down a little bit lower, and lighting a candle, all of those things just help to set an ambiance that maybe get your creative juices flowing a little bit more. You're likely going to be pulling pieces that you might not otherwise. It just helps to make sure that day after day you don't default to the same outfit, whatever it is, if it's leggings and a sweatshirt, or if it's jeans and a t-shirt, or whatever it is that's just like the minimum effort outfit. You'll save yourself with this one. Trust me, I have a lot of times. There was a video that I did on my channel about a year ago, and I'll link to it in the description bar below. It was called Dress Like a Millionaire, and it basically just gave a bunch of different tips similar to these ones. And one of the biggest points that I made was make sure that all of your clothes are wrinkle free. Now, if you're somebody that travels a lot, then this can be kind of hard, because especially if you're going in and out of your suitcase all the time, or if you're on vacation or whatever, the deal might be that you're not near a steamer or an iron, because sometimes hotels don't have them. Then here's what you can do. The night before, if you wanted to do it then, it would just save you time in the morning, but just grab whatever your outfit is for the day, and in the morning when you have a shower, put the clothes on hangers and near the shower so that it gets some of the steam, and that will help like soften the wrinkles right away. But then after that, when you're drying your hair with the blow dryer, blow your clothes as well. And since the wrinkles will already have been softened from the steam, if that's not enough, blowing them dry with a blow dryer in a downward motion will help to get rid of any wrinkles that might still be remaining, and it's a great option if you don't have an iron or a steamer. The next one is for when you're actually getting dressed. When you're putting something tight over your head, and if you've already done your makeup, to avoid foundation transfer. I've talked about this before, but this is a new version of it. So before, I mentioned that you can either flip your hair over and completely like cover your face with your hair and then put the top on. However, if you don't have long enough hair, then you might not be able to do this. So instead, what you can do is just get a plastic shower cap, put that just over your face and then put the garment of clothing on top. So whether it be a dress or a top, it'll work obviously with either of them. But this means you're not gonna mess up your hair. You're not gonna have any sort of foundation transfer onto the top that you're putting on. And instead of taking something like a scarf and doing this, a shower cap can be transported so easily because you can just roll it into like this tiny, tiny little thing that obviously isn't gonna add any weight to a luggage if you're traveling, or you can just keep one in your purse for whenever you go shopping. And again, you don't wanna have the same thing happening in a change room at stores. Numbers 5 and 6 are actually all about footwear, and the first one is to wear the proper length socks for your shoes. And that might seem really obvious, but when you see it out in public and it's just not right, seeing a sock that comes above the top of the shoe just doesn't always look that right unless it's intentional. Obviously, like tube socks and sneakers are a really big trend right now and sort of nods to Y2K, just like everything else that's going on. But when it's not done properly, it just looks really off. So just make sure when you're putting your clothes out the night before to add the right socks, because it makes all the difference. You can actually find like little tutorials on YouTube for how to like DIY socks into being a shorter length without cutting them. So there are all of these tips right at your fingertips. So that's really the first part of this. And then tip number 6 is to keep wet wipes in your car so that you can clean your shoes right away if they do get dirty. I have these in the console of my car all the time, and they're the Honest baby wipes. What I love about them, I'm gonna read straight from the package. It says they're plant-based wipes made with over 99% water, so they're alcohol-free, paraben-free, fragrance-free, and chlorine processing-free. And obviously you would want that high quality for your baby, but I think you should also want it for your shoes. With the phrase, you should invest in what goes between you and the ground. Is that how it goes? Something like that. Anyway, you want to use something that isn't going to damage your shoes. So especially because they are fragrance-free and chlorine-free and free of anything that you just wouldn't want to be putting on your clothes or your shoes or your skin anyway. These are just the ones that I would recommend, and especially because they're over 99% water, you're not going to do any sort of damage, and you don't have to worry about how many times you're wiping a certain spot because it's only made of good stuff. So especially if you have white sneakers or trainers or any sort of like heels, or if you're at an event and it's outside and your heel sort of digs into the ground a little bit, you want to just make sure that that's off and cleaned as soon as possible. So by keeping these in your car, you'll always be set to go. Tip number 7 is going on to a little bit of a tangent, but it's so important. I mentioned this in my Dress Like a Millionaire video as well, that chipped nails just never look good. So my tip, instead of just like always have your nails done, because that can not only be time consuming, but it can also be expensive if you're going out, is to invest in good quality nail polish. And I'm gonna show you the one that I use, and it's number 548. It's the Blanc White from Chanel. This is actually given to me by one of my bridesmaids, and I wear it all the time. All the time. And this is the one that actually stays. Like, I can wear this for days and days and days on end and it's not chipping. And because, I mean, you can barely see that I have any on, but it just gives like a little bit of a polished, no pun intended, look. It's like a barely there, no makeup look, but for your nails. So it's nice and subtle. It is a little bit translucent. It's not completely opaque, and I really love that. Sometimes I feel like stark white can look a little bit funny if it doesn't have either a little bit of an undertone or like some pearlescence to it. It can kind of look like whiteout. So by doing a shade like this, I just think that it's the best way to go. And the Chanel one, yes, it's gonna cost a little bit more, but it's also gonna stay on. So if you do go to the nail salon, it's fewer trips there. You can sort of do this yourself in between, which also saves the health of your nails. Whenever I do biogel or shellac or anything like that, it just takes such a toll on my nails, and I've been growing them out, and this has honestly helped me so much because I can maintain it myself. It takes less time, and the final product is something that I love. That's tip number 7. The next 3 tips all have to do with once you're actually dressed, and they're just like 3 little boxes that you should check in your mind to make sure that you're like fresh and ready to go. And the first one is to check for flyaways. So obviously, like, having your hair done just sort of puts an outfit all together. And I'm not saying that it has to be some fabulous updo, but just making sure that you don't have any like really crazy stray flyaways or anything that's sort of distracting from your look, just grab some hairspray. This is my favorite one. I've talked about it already on my channel, but it's just my favorite one. It's from Moroccan oil, and you can get different hold strengths if you do need something a little bit stronger depending on the texture of your hair. So if it's more coarse, you might want something with a firmer hold. But just checking for flyaways, especially if like me, you do your hair in a high ponytail often, that's like my go-to, but it's something that I really think is so worth checking for before you leave your house. It just makes all the difference. Tip number 9 is the fastest one to do in case this is something that you have a habit of. It's just taking the hair elastic off of your wrist. It makes such a big difference, and to me it just looks really tacky when you have, especially if you have black hair or darker hair and you match it with a dark elastic. If you have a dark elastic on your wrist, especially if you have anything else like a bracelet or a watch, it just totally takes away from your jewelry and just distracts from your entire look. So just take the hair elastic off. It's so simple, it'll literally take you less than a second. And the last one is just to check for any loose threads. Now this is something that you can do the night before, but in case you don't catch it or you see it last minute when you're looking in a mirror, and this goes for outerwear as well, but if you have any loose threads anywhere, as long as they're not pulling or damaging whatever garment of clothing you're wearing, like if it's an integral thread that if you cut it off is gonna make a hole or something, then obviously don't do that. But if it's just a loose thread, cut it off. And there are a few places that you should just check for these. One, around like fly areas or buttons on your pants. Sometimes there are extra threads that just get loose there because of the constant motion with the zipper. Obviously also around hemlines, but if while you're checking you find that any buttons are loose, that might be a good time to just take note of it and either mend it that evening or just decide to wear something else instead so that you don't lose any buttons. But those are just 10 tips and different like fashion hack kind of ways to make sure that you always look on point. And if you have any other suggestions for either a future video or just letting me know the things that you already do yourself, I would love to hear about them in the comment section down below, and I'll see you very, very soon in my next one. Bye guys.